Do you also scroll through Crunchyroll and wonder where are all the series that combine mystery, romance, and supernatural powers into one single plot? Well, if you are like that, then I have the anime for you. Raven of the Inner Palace, or Koukyuu No Karasu, has the fastest ever promising romance series with an emperor who has just reclaimed the throne wrongfully taken from him as a child and a consort with mystical abilities who doesn't serve him. We see these two very different people have their paths intertwine when the emperor requests the consort's help in solving a mystery. Now you may be thinking, wait a minute, consort, mystery, emperor, what setting is this? This isn't the normal high school setting that we're used to seeing in anime. That's what makes it so intriguing. We're set in this inner palace structure based on ancient China where consorts serve an emperor, but with a twist because this specific consort has supernatural abilities and doesn't serve the emperor the same way as the other consorts do. But that doesn't keep the emperor from finding interest in our Raven consort, Josetsu, and her secretive past. Welcome, anime friends. If you're new here, my name is Phoenix. Hello, nice to meet you. And I dive into the world of visual storytelling in anime and sometimes manga on a weekly basis. There's also one rule that you must follow before we begin. You have to grab your cup because it's time to spill the anime tea. Today we're going to be diving into the world of Raven of the Inner Palace and discussing interesting mysteries, immersive setting, and light romance enough to keep audiences interested, or will it fall down the rabbit hole of other light novel adaptations and other historical drama adaptations, which sometimes come off as a bit boring? Let's begin. Guys, I'm so happy I have matcha tea today. My favorite tea of all time. I love it. Directed by recent Gintama series director Chizuru Miyawaki, who has also done key animation for series like Inuyasha and Hunter x Hunter, and shows a lot of promise in her adaptation of this light novel, with the director herself saying that she has done a lot of hands-on research in order to determine the visuals and create a similar style as the setting is based off of. Since the series is based off a light novel, which is literally just a novel with maybe one or two illustrations, which are done by Ayuko in this case, who has also done illustrations for The Earl and the Fairy. There's not much to go off of for the visuals of the series for the anime. So she did research on buildings and on dress and etiquette and style in order to put that into the work, and it clearly shows, with lots of fans noting how immersive it feels because of the way that the characters are styled. One interesting take that I've seen on the series is an article where they compare Raven of the Inner Palace to Yona of the Dawn, which is a shoujo manga adaptation back in, when was it made? 2012, 2013? Almost over a decade ago. That was really beloved by fans. The manga is still ongoing as we speak, though the anime only had one season with 24 episodes, which is literally a crime. I found this comparison interesting because Yona of the Dawn, despite also having a young girl set in this palace structure based off of an ancient Asian culture, I believe Yona of the Dawn is based off of like ancient Korean culture. They both have main female leads as well. But Yona of the Dawn mostly focuses on politics and mostly focuses on this one girl's growth from being the sheltered princess who lived in a palace and wasn't allowed to go out to literally having her kingdom and her family taken from her and having to reclaim her throne. So there's a lot more action. There's even like this whole slightly reverse harem-y type situation going on because there's so many bishonen in that show, which also made it great and popular as well. I mean, you know, everyone loves Hawks. I love Hawks. I want more of Hawks. Can we have a Yona of the Dawn season 2? Anyway, back to Raven of the Inner Palace. On the other hand, isn't as action-based, based on mysteries and the supernatural. There's lots of talk of the dead coming back, as well as curses being set on people, helping people move on after death as well. On top of that, the main character, Josetsu, despite also kind of being limited to her place in the Inner Palace story, I haven't read the light novel, but I don't believe we're going to see the story take her out of that setting because it's so deeply immersed in the Inner Palace setting. But I think we still are going to learn about her character, her background, her secrets, and how that will come to play out with her relationship with the Emperor, with her relationship with the other people of the Inner Palace, and what consequences might come up. Although both Yona of the Dawn and Raven of the Inner Palace are set in ancient civilizations, they are quite different from one another. And I believe the article only brought it up as a way to help fans find interest in Raven of the Inner Palace by comparing it to something that a lot of people loved. But there's not a lot of anime that I've seen with women at the forefront who use this structure. What also gives it some leverage is the fact that it's based off a light novel that's not currently officially licensed in the US. So though there are people that know about it and are aware of its adaptation and where it comes from, not as many people have read the original source material and therefore have less expectations of what it will be. It allows it to find an audience as its own thing, separate from its original source. What's also working in its favor is the fact that it feels so immersive, doesn't get caught in this trap of over-explaining any of the things that are going on, which I absolutely love. Like, I know some people may be lost about like why the main character's name is Josetsu or pronounced as Josetsu, but the subtitles on Crunchyroll are written as Shoxue, which is Chinese. Jusetsu. Jusetsu. Jusetsu ka. And I've seen Crunchyroll do this with other anime as well, where they like try to provide like the correct pronunciations of the series in the language that it's supposed to be actually based off of, which in this case is Chinese, even though the characters are speaking Japanese. There's like 3 layers of language barriers that they have to go through in order to do that. But I think it helps a lot to feel more immersed in the setting of this world that is based in ancient China. And honestly, I'm no language expert. So if you have more information about that and you want to share with everybody in the comments below, I highly suggest you do. What's really captured my eye with the series, besides having like, a main female lead with an interesting backstory, which is like incredible in its own right. Besides that though, I love the mysteries so far, because not only did it have a mystery, it also introduced both of the really main characters as well as some side characters, which is the Emperor and the Raven consort herself, Josetsu, and bring them all together in order to solve this one mystery that ended up revealing other mysteries that pertain to our main characters, like Josetsu's secret identity, why the current emperor overthrew the throne, and the crimes of the previous Empress Dowager and how that has affected the palace and still continues to affect the members and the people within the palace. And now that all of these things have been introduced in the first 2 episodes, it's up to the pacing of the story to keep us interested and hopefully provide answers to those mysteries, which leads to some main concerns that I have for the series and that I've noticed some other people have had as well. But before I get to that, make sure you like this video. If you're enjoying it so far, help spread it to more people who might be interested in Raven of the Inner Palace and looking into mysterious romance anime like it. My main concern for the series, because of the drama and because of the mystery, is that it may rush itself, because the thing with dramas and mysteries is that if it's not paced correctly, it can easily make fans lose interest. This is because mysteries tend to need a good amount of cushion to set up the intrigue and, draw audiences in and question things. So far, the setup for the series is a mystery of the week type, kind of like a monster of the week type. Someone goes to Josetsu to ask for help, and she looks at the item that they give her, and then she tries to either contact the dead. She also has the ability to curse people. Additionally, because I talked about the light novel structure before, one pitfall that light novels have that I've noticed is that they tend to be a little boring because they over-explain things. Because in a light novel, all you really have to go on is the words and a couple of illustrations. Sometimes light novel adaptations get lost in translation when they become anime, and I hope that is not the case for this series. So far though, it's kept its interest. I'm glad that there's no monologuing or exposition really. Another possible concern I have with the series that I've seen on another review talk about is that the characters' motivations are not really strong. And I guess that's kind of true. Like, for the most part, the motivations are pretty tame. For right now, Josetsu's motivations seem to be to protect her secret, which I won't give away because spoilers. And for the Emperor, it has to do with him doing things by the book and trying to do things correctly instead of like taking things by force, which makes him a more interesting and complex character than we originally thought based off the first few scenes that we see in episode 1. Though the motivations don't seem very strong, they are there in the background, and I think as the mysteries continue to go on, we will learn more about their motivations and what things become important to them. And on that note, be patient. Not everything has to be given right away. Sometimes build up is necessary. So far, I have hope for this series as long as it just sticks to like being a mystery, having a great female lead with an interesting backstory, and an adorable little romance on the side, just like a little dash of it in there. You know, I don't even need that much. It doesn't even need to take over the entire series. On top of that, there's a ton of anime coming out this season. Has anyone else had whiplash from just trying to keep up with all the anime that's coming out? It's so much sometimes. But at the same time, I want to try to promote other series that will get left in the wayside. I'm really glad that Raven of the Inner Palace is already being talked about a lot, and I hope it continues to get a lot of recognition. And I hope it continues to do well as well, of course, as the series progresses. But I also will be talking about another series, known as Do It Yourself, which you can find up here if you want to watch that next. It also is premiering the same time as Raven of the Inner Palace, and I think it is also highly underrated. Please let me know what your favorite underrated anime is so far, and look out for giant ravens with human faces on them because they are pretty frightening. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace!